I'm Brian McCreath at GBH in Boston. I'm with composer J. Peña Aguayo and with Bomba dancer Brenda Liz Cepeda. It's so good to have both of you here. It's so good to be with you for El Puerto Rico, the project that you're both involved in at this particular point. JJ, I wonder if you can give a little bit of context for Bomba, because that is at the heart of Prince of Lost Breath, the piece that you wrote. And you draw on Bomba and the tradition of Bomba within Puerto Rico. So while it is a vast history, I wonder if you can just give a little bit of a nutshell for how people who aren't familiar with it can understand the importance of Bomba.
Oh, well, that's a long answer, because Bomba is probably the oldest folk genre in the island of Puerto Rico. It comes originally from the African slaves and free African people on the island, and it developed in different ways in different parts of the island, and of course it evolved all the way through the 20th century. It involves dance, singing, different percussion instruments, and it has, and not only is it just an artistic genre, it has held a place as a tool for protest and demand, especially from the black race, and very especially what place does the black race hold in the Puerto Rican identity.
That's excellent context, and we're going to return to that because that also is at the heart of Prince of Lost Breath. Yeah. But Brenda Liz, you are the next in a line of a well-known Bomba dancing family. And so this has been with you your entire life. I'm sure you can't imagine life without Bomba.
Oh, no, I wasn't allowed to. No. I should not say that, but no, I can't imagine my life without Bomba.
Yeah. So as a child, it organically wove itself into your life. But how do you see Bomba as a tradition of Puerto Rico in relation to the rest of the world? What does Bomba tell the rest of the world about Puerto Rico?
It's like JJ had expressed. It's a genre. It's a folklore music from Puerto Rico. It's years and years of expression. And that's really what's important. You know, Bomba was always an expression. When they dance, when they talk, their songs, their movement, their feelings, it's all through expression. And this piece is about expression as well. So Bomba is just, it speaks for itself, but it speaks without talking. You know, my movement, my directions, where I go, it's all language. And in that, the people could tell, wow, okay, this is Puerto Rico.
What fascinates me about Bomba as a tradition, as I understand it, and as it happens in your piece, JJ, is that the tradition is that the dancer leads the musician, not the other way around.
Yeah. Yes.
So in traditional Bomba, what the sort of foundation of the art as you practice it, you're used to taking the lead and bringing musicians along with you through your moves. Is that accurate?
Yes, but this piece is a little different, but it's good different, because there's emotion in this piece. So even though I didn't take where I wanted to go, like, you know, if it was just the drums, but the message was still there. The piece where I need to hear the beat, everything, it was still there. You just have to kind of close your eyes and really listen to the piece. And that's what we've been practicing for.
Well, let's now return to what you mentioned, JJ. Mm-hmm. The idea of protest, as you say, part of the Bomba legacy to begin with. But then your inspiration came last year with this horrible thing that changed the world, really, the murder of George Floyd and the protests that followed. And I wonder if you can take us to the moment, or at least the process in which you thought, I need to express something through music about this world-changing event, and how that led you to Bomba as your way of doing that at its foundation.
Well, since the beginning, when I was talking with Tian and Victory Players about the commission, I was thinking about Bomba for the work. But right after I had that conversation with them, the pandemic hit, and there was a very long lockdown in Spain. I reside in Spain.
Oh, okay.
And which is actually it's more proof to the point, because we were forced to be inside. You were forced to watch the news and read the news, and the protests that followed this tragic death were very moving, because they didn't only happen in the United States; they happened everywhere around the world. And at one point, there was a protest in Loíza, which is a very special town regarding Bomba in Puerto Rico, and because it is historically a town of black people. It was founded by free slaves, and they had this Bomba protest in the town, and I just found that incredibly inspiring. From there on, I just knew I just had to have not only just the elements of Bomba, which are actually quite common in my work, but I wanted to work with a Bomba group, and knowing also that this program that MIFA has also searches to connect with the community. I thought it was just like the perfect coincidence, apart from the inspiration that the protests.
I'm fascinated by the idea of Bomba as protest still, because to the untrained eye or the person new to Bomba, what communicates visually and sonically is joy and energy. And I think that's appropriate, but then I wonder how Bomba takes on a life as protest. What is it that happens? What happened in Loíza that made, what was the language they were using to make this a protest with Bomba?
Well, you are right. I mean, historically, Bomba is also a party.
Yeah.
But historically, there are documented Bomba happenings just before slaves tried to free themselves from their owners, like they're with secret messages in the songs, and up to today, like yes, there were protests in Loíza regarding Black Lives Matter, but I did research on this, and the social part of Bomba nowadays also talks about feminism and racism, and that's this. So I'm not really innovating here. It's actually nowadays is part of this type of activism.
Yeah.
I don't know if maybe Brenda has
Yes.
anything to say about that.
100%. Bomba in the beginning, it was used as a motion. It was used as a protest. It was used as a communication within the slaves. They expressed themselves, sometimes to talk about where they're hiding, where to go. And then within time, it changes. And then what was amazing, besides the George Floyd, but also Maria,
That's right.
it was used a lot. And the youth came out more with Bomba to express what was going on in Puerto Rico during that time. So it was just talking about what was occurring in Puerto Rico, how they felt, what was going on, the politics, there was so much that was occurring, and that energy was expressed in the middle, in the bate, where people would dance in the middle to express themselves. And the words, and that's what, that's why Bomba became so, it became so big now, because there's so much going on in this society and the community with what happened with George. And, and even with what happened with George, even with Maria, but other things as well. people express themselves, because there's so much going on, and and it's gonna keep on going on, right? Because there's always something, and that's why Bomba is just there. You hear the drums, you hear the beat of the drums, the hands hitting the drums. It's just them expressing themselves. This has to end soon. We need order. We need to come together as a community. We need to stop, killing. We need to stop killing. We need to stop, we need to be together. And, that's really important as well.
Let's talk a little about this specific piece and your role in it, Brenda-Lise. Because, as you said, it wasn't really quite the way that a traditional bomba might go. You were interacting with wind instruments, actually, and with very specific rhythms. And I wonder if you can take us to that moment when you heard from JJ about this, and heard the request to be drawn into this piece, into this creation with him. Tell me about that.
This piece. First of all, this piece is amazing. We had our talks over Zoom, obviously, because I couldn't go to Spain. He could come over here. But, at first when we spoke about this piece, we were like, wow, this is really big. But we just kind of got the intro, and I think there was like works in the back, and, until we finally got together, got the music, and start practicing the piece. And I have to say, I'm amazed with the group, because they went out to going to the house to practice, going to the studio, going to UMass. So, we just kind of like practice. So what I went through was kind of like a roller coaster, because I wanted this to come out perfect. I wanted to be perfect because of many reasons, besides the fact of JJ, and it was JJ's piece. But, it talked about George Floyd, it talked about Puerto Rico, and I felt the emotions that JJ put into the piece as well. So there was so many different emotions. So, I have worked hard. It was an elevator, and I have to say there were times that I was at night sleeping, listening to the piece. And, my husband would say, I think you got it, Brenda. I was like, well, let's wait till JJ tells me. We got to wait for confirmation from JJ. But it was hard in the beginning, because it's not what I'm used to, the drums, But, someone said, besides JJ, but somebody also told me, Brenda, this is Bomba. This is you. Just be you. Listen to music. The beat is there. You just have to stop being, oh my God, no. This is Bomba. This is a calling. You need to do what you need to do. And I think that after that, I relaxed, and JJ approved me.
I would say so. I imagine, JJ, that there are ways that Brenda-Lise inspired you, even after the piece was well and truly written. You may have even, kind of tweaked a few things here and there.
She inspired me last week.
Oh.
Yes, I ended up dancing with her at one of the last rehearsals.
Yes.
To tell her my ideas about what she should do and everything. Yes, I knew this was going to be a process. I knew the meeting between the classical musicians, the classically trained musicians, and someone that is a folk artist. That wasn't going to be easy. There had to be a process there, where she has to learn some things from one world, and the classical musicians have to learn something about Bomba. Yeah. Same happened with the drummers. Same thing happened. I ended up playing the drums too. Yeah. I'm being a link in between them. And Brenda, of course, she starts. And she's like listening to all these sounds. She's not used to controlling herself, because normally a dancer in Bomba actually makes music. Mm-hmm. A dancer makes music by giving rhythm and movement to the drummer, and the drummer reacts in place. What I wanted to happen here was the same thing, but not with the drummer, with a clarinet, a flute, and a violin. And of course, that shocked her at the beginning. And what she said, what I had to work with her was like, I understand that the sound you're getting back is not the same, but your work should be the same. Your movements should be the same. And the musicians were very helpful, and also the drummers were as well. I mean, the process was a beautiful thing.
And the result too.
Yeah,
the
thank
result
you,
too.
thank you.
Yeah. Just one more question. You said that Bomba courses through your music in general.
Yeah.
And I wonder, the other aspects of this piece that are so fascinating also involve the extended techniques that you ask of the instrumentalists. And is that also part of your language regularly, or were you trying different things in this piece that you hadn't actually really done before?
Not really, no.
Yeah,
I do work with those techniques regularly. Sometimes they might be deeper and some works more than others. But in this case, the extended techniques wanted to paint the concept of a breath. So that's why I wanted to work a lot with sounds that were not pitched. So that's why the extended techniques were actually quite deep at the beginning of this piece. But my music is not purely that, but does normally deal with some extended techniques, yes.
Well, thank you both. This piece is incredibly moving, incredibly beautiful, and so I appreciate it as being a real anchor of this entire project. It's really wonderful, so thank you.
No, thank you for having us.